you're kind of just pushed out the door. You're kind of on your own. You try to research and it's so overwhelming. I felt all of this pressure just to throw everything at it I could,
Mhm.
but there's too much.
Welcome back to the Push Pause to Heal podcast. I am your host, Dr. Emily Rodersheimer. On this podcast, we explore health from the inside out, starting with foundations, connection, and the conditions that allow the body to heal. Today, we have a very special guest on the podcast. One of our lovely clients, Bridget, has generously offered to share her story with my listeners so that they can come to understand the power of functional medicine, of slowing down, and of having your very own health coach by your side. Bridget came to Balance Living Functional Medicine after finishing her treatment for breast cancer. She was given the all clear, but was left overwhelmed by all she had gone through, surrounded by conflicting health advice and unsure how to get back to a more normal life. Today, Bridget feels much more calm and confident in her body and its healing capacity and has learned to regulate her nervous system. She has gone from a constant feeling of buzzing with anxiety to being a grounding presence for her whole family. So, welcome, Bridget. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're really glad to have you. And I have to say, for my listeners, this is a very brave thing for a client to come forward in this way. That Bridget is not somebody who loves to be on a podcast. So this is taking her out of her comfort zone. So please join me in thanking her for being here. So Bridget, I would love to just kind of start out with when we first met. I think you probably remember that. You had wanted to pursue that higher end level of care with me, where we kind of dive in feet first with lots of testing right from day one, because that was kind of what you were used to with the cancer treatment protocol. And I encouraged you to take a step back and actually let things slow down in a testing, fixing kind of patient sort of way so that your body could catch up. And so you chose to sign up for our Health Begins Here program, which I can share more about later on. And you started working in that program with one of our health coaches, Karen. Can you tell us your experience in that program, what that was like?
It was amazing. I was very apprehensive. After I was diagnosed with cancer and going through the treatment, I ended up having an autoimmune response to the immunotherapy,
Mhm.
which basically sent my body in overdrive and my immune system into overdrive. I ended up being in the hospital for a total close to a month. And I was on high dose steroids, taking about 200 milligrams a day.
Wow. That's a
It
very
was,
high dose for those that don't know. That's a
yes,
lot.
it is. After I got out of the hospital, we stopped treatment and I moved forward with surgery and then radiation. Afterwards, you're kind of just pushed out the door. You're kind of on your own. You try to research and it's so overwhelming. And you feel I felt all of this pressure just to throw everything at it I could,
Mhm.
but there's too much. And it- one person feels you do this, and another person you listen to thinks you should do that. So I was I felt like I was just spinning my wheels, not knowing what direction really to go in.
Mm.
I was trying to get my body back to where it was. And due to being in the hospital, I was weak
Mhm.
and the side effects of therapy and all. So I reached out and I wanted to go full force, head on. And I think that was just how my nervous system.
Yes. Yes.
So after talking to you and you're explaining how, like, let's go slow, I had just a sense of calm about it. And I felt like even though I wanted to go real fast, I was going to listen to you and go slow. And that's kind of the whole program is kind of going your own pace. And it really worked out for me. And it wasn't the pace I saw myself going in, but it's what benefited me the most.
It's really what your body needed at that time, right?
Right.
Because you had gone fast through all the treatment
Right.
and you're in survival mode, right? I mean, literally,
Yeah.
you were fighting for your life.
Yes.
And so that makes sense that that's kind of what you thought was what you needed, but really that we needed to help your body feel safe again.
right. I was
Right.
definitely in fight or flight mode
Mm.
when I approached you.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell, if you don't mind, and I think so many can relate to that information overload that you share. There's so much information out there. And I think maybe you can tell us, how is it better to have your own personal coach to take all the information and dial it in to you, right?
Right. It's like having a really good friend
Mm.
that you meet with who's loving, encouraging. They're not judgmental. They give you advice and you can take it or leave it. If you're not comfortable with it, then you just put it to the side.
Mhm.
And it's about finding a balance with what they think works for you and what will work for you, and having that person to rely on with any questions.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. You got to spend 3 months with Coach Karen inside
Yeah,
our Health Begins Here program. So I have 3 board certified functional medicine health coaches on my team, and you worked with Karen, who's just lovely. And the health coaches focus are, we usually try to start with building a very solid foundation from a lifestyle standpoint, right? The
right.
day in and day out choices that we make. So what were some of the things that Karen opened your eyes to that could be done in a different way that really made you feel a lot better?
I'm basically the go big or go home type of person. And she really instilled into me the small things that really add up, and finding that what you're most comfortable with and then working on that, and then maybe the next week adding something else, and it can be something as simple as starting your morning out with a cup of green tea or a cup of bone broth.
Mm,
She changed my thinking into, when I get up in the morning, what can I do healthy? Is
mm.
it doing 10 squats right now as I'm waiting for my coffee to heat up?
I love that.
Those sort of things.
Yeah. So I think what you're talking about, so many clients that we work with, and I think this is a commonality in a lot of Americans, is all or nothing thinking,
Right.
right? Like I have to be perfect and change everything all at once and do it exactly right, or don't do it at all. And
Exactly.
would you say that you now you see the benefits of those small, moderate changes, and not, it doesn't have to be perfect?
Right. Yes, so many times I've done things and I've failed at them, but she also had taught me, you just pick back up when you fall down, or you pick
Exactly.
yourself back up, and you just don't stay there.
Yes.
And you can be motivated with that one healthy choice you do that day, and it carries throughout the week.
I love that. I love that. And really, you're never failing. You're just learning, right? Well,
Right,
that didn't work. Let me try it again. Let me see
right.
if I can do
But
it differently.
my old mindset was, "Oh, I failed, it didn't work, give up."
Mm. Yes. Yes. So I'm so glad that Karen helped you to see a different way there. So let's talk about a couple of the big pillars of lifestyle and maybe some of the changes that you took on. From a nutrition standpoint, I think you were already pretty dialed into healthy eating because having been through the cancer process, was there anything that, like, aha moments or mindset shifts around nutrition and food and how it could impact you?
Absolutely. My state of mind at the time was not the best. One of the biggest things was just, and it's so simple, and I don't know why I didn't think of it at the time, that I was into juicing right
Mm.
after treatments. I got into juicing, and she suggested about, instead of juicing, try to drink smoothies. And it makes sense. You have your fiber,
Yes.
it's tastier,
It's more filling for
it's more
sure.
filling.
Yes.
And it was those sort of things that during the way my mind was operating, I couldn't think to do myself. What
Sure.
I mean, it
Sure,
was like
yeah.
I was focused on juicing, but it she caused me to branch out.
Great. Yeah, try some new things, and for those of you listening that might be wondering, "Well, what's wrong with juicing?" I would say juicing, you get a lot of health benefits out of the vegetables or fruits that you're juicing, but when we pull out all the fiber, there tends to be a stronger impact on your blood sugar. So there's a spike in the blood sugar, which is not what we want to do in somebody who's had cancer or is trying to prevent a cancer recurrence. So I'm so glad that that shift helped you because feeling more full or satiated or having maybe more protein and more fiber instead of just the juice allows you to feel more calm throughout the day actually, right? Would you
It
agree?
does. And I felt better. I do. I feel better when I have a smoothie versus juice.
Yeah. Yeah, and your body will always tell you. So, if for the listeners too, I would say if you try something and your body doesn't feel so good, then maybe shift it up. Try something else because your body will always tell you what it likes and what it doesn't like.
And all
Um,
of this is based on the individual. What worked for me, it may not work for someone
yes.
else, but the life coach helps you with all of that.
Excellent, excellent. So Karen might have a different recommendation for someone else, is what you're
Exactly.
saying. It's not always do it this way. Excellent.
Right.
Yes. That is what we really try to personalize and individualize our recommendations in the program. So Bridget, one of the other things I think that Karen helped you a lot with was shifting out of a fight or flight mode, right? That buzzing feeling that you had constantly in your body when you came to us. How was she able to help you? Because remember, the health coaches that work with me they're not giving medications, supplements. It's all just lifestyle shifts. So what sort of lifestyle shifts were you able to take on that helped you feel better?
Well, in the very beginning, it was getting out of bed, getting something healthy like a cup of green tea, and getting outside as early as possible
Mm,
and reading my Bible. Then she started talking about becoming more aware of my body and being
mm,
more in tuned into it. And when I would start to feel panic, I would have to stop and pause and
yes,
take the deep breaths. So there
excellent.
was breathing techniques that have
Mhm.
helped with this. And it at first it seems kind of silly, but it does work because when you stop and pause, you can naturally, to the point now, I can naturally calm down my body. And even
Wow.
my youngest son, when he can tell when I'm starting to get anxious because I start rushing around, and he will tell me, "Stop, you're in a hurry, calm down."
Oh, I love that.
Yes,
A reminder to pause.
right.
Wow. Wow. So for you, breathing is really helpful, it
It
sounds like,
is.
when you take that pause.
It
Okay.
is.
Excellent. Excellent. Was
And
there
stretching.
stretching?
If I'll just take a few moments and just start stretching.
I love that. And it almost, I imagine that helps kind of ground you into your body,
It does. And I
right?
also recently have found using a grounding mat has really helped me.
Excellent. Excellent. Helps you kind of reconnect and kind of ground. That's amazing. I think because anxiety is really coming from our mind, right?
Right,
And we can get very easily stuck in our thoughts and in these loops that just spiral and spiral and spiral and don't go anywhere nice, right?
right,
But if you can kind of center or ground back to your body, it helps pull you out of the mind a little bit and say, okay, I can be in the present moment
right.
in a different way. I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And so, y would you I heard what you were saying, your son knows maybe an old pattern of you get busy when you're anxious.
Right.
I Is that something else that shifted in the program, like learning that because I think so many women today, we feel that we have to be busy. Like
Right.
we're not a good mom or we're not a good whatever, wife, daughter, whatever it is, if we're not busy and mostly taking care of other people, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how has your mindset shifted to allow, because I think you're now allowing yourself to pause.
Yes.
How can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. When I pause, I have to ask myself when I'm stressing, whether it's in the car and I'm driving a little bit faster than what I
Mm,
should, I become aware of that and I pause and I'm like, wait a minute. Is it going to matter if I'm 2 minutes late? And that even happened today as I was trying to log on for this. I was 2 minutes late. Now, in the past, I would have been really like just distraught and probably wouldn't even have been able to
oh,
log in because I've been so anxious. But now I know it's okay.
It is
It's
okay.
okay that those dishes in the sink are not clean before I leave the house. It's okay there's a mess in the floor.
Yes.
I just have to talk myself through it and be like, does this really matter?
Wow. That was profound what you just said, because I think it just becomes this sort of fallback that we have of like, oh, I have to do all of this. This has to be put away, or I can't feel safe or calm in my body. But you have found a way to kind of just talk yourself through. I really am okay. I
Right.
can be late and be okay. I can have a dirty kitchen and be okay. I know there's a sink full of dishes downstairs as we speak while we're recording this, and that's okay. We're having a fun time anyway, right? It does in
Yeah.
the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But I I think this leads perfectly into would you be able to describe maybe the shifts in the family dynamics since you've been able to be a calmer presence? Like, how does your family pick up on a calm mom versus your son is calling you out on it, but what do you think he feels differently than he used to?
I think they don't pick up on my anxiety. Therefore, they are calmer too.
I love that. Yeah, a whole new sense of calm in the home because you were able to slow down and take time for yourself. So instead of pushing and just keep going, and now the whole house is kind of like, because they pick up on your energy, right?
Yeah.
Then the whole house is sort of chaotic, and then maybe the kids are arguing and you're trying to run out the door and you're late. And now there's just like, oh no, mom's okay, so we're okay.
Right.
What a beautiful gift to give to your children.
It is.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So we talked a little bit about how you would describe a health coach. I love that. And when really your health coach is kind of the person that helps you make those lifestyle changes that are so hard in our society really to make on our own. It sounds simple to change some of these things, but it's really not. And we often need a cheerleader or some support and someone to kind of guide us and help us see things in a different way. But when you started with us, we do a symptom score for all new clients that start to work with us. And actually, we have a quiz. I'll share that in the show notes. If anyone's interested in what their very own symptom score is, they can take our quiz and find out. But your symptom score when you started was 43.
Yeah.
And what this means is each symptom, or there's 15 different categories of that systems in the body, and we look at symptoms and you can rate them based on the severity and how often they happen. So 0 would be somebody who has no symptoms of anything and felt completely perfect. Your score was 43. And after 3 months of working with Coach Karen, that's our Health Begins Here program is 3 months long, your score went down to 12. And that was a 72% reduction in your symptoms in 3 months' time. So that is pretty profound. What's interesting, I think, is that we don't see the shift day to day, right? And
Right.
unless we take these symptom scores to kind of like, oh yeah, I really do. But can you see that shift in yourself from where you were to where you are now?
I can. I mean, just it's a lot of mindset that has changed and the way my body feels.
That's
It's
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
there is. I felt calmer and I noticed a huge change.
I think that one of the things that I would say I've noticed in you is a lot of confidence.
Yes.
Confidence maybe in your body and your ability to impact your health,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that especially in cancer treatment world, you're kind of at the mercy of the doctors, the radiation oncologists, like all these specialists that say, "Go do this. You need to have this done." And it feels like very much like you have no control.
Right.
But
And I
Mhm.
do feel like I have way more control than I
Mm.
ever have before. And it's based on the choices I make. And there is comfort in knowing that.
Yes, there's a power in that,
There is.
right? Yeah, you have tools. You have things that you can do that are going to help your body be so much healthier in the long run. So, Bridget, you recently went back to see your radiation oncologist and have a follow-up of your most recent mammogram. Can you share the story of what happened at that appointment with us?
Yes, I would love to. She knew I had been seeing a functional medicine doctor, and she was very well versed in it and thought a lot about functional medicine.
Great.
So when she walks in, she has this big smile on her face. And she said, "Your mammogram is beautiful." She said, "It's so clear." She said, "I did not expect to see no inflammation, nothing." She said, "I tell people that these life choices make a difference." And she said, "They don't follow them." She said, "But you did." And she was so happy. And she said, "Tell your functional medicine doctor that she gets A plus plus plus."
Well, that's beautiful that first of all, that the doctor is appreciative because
Yes.
it's in conventional medicine, some doctors don't quite see the power of the
Yeah.
lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle. But can you tell me it's normally somebody going back for a mammogram after having had radiation and all the treatment you did, they're still expecting to see
Yes.
inflammation, is that right?
Yes. She said that she would have expected to even see inflammation a year from now.
Oh, a whole nother year.
Yeah.
And yours was gone.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So let's just extrapolate that a little bit
Mhm.
because for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with cancer and the metabolic processes that can lead up to that, inflammation is one of the biggest drivers for cancer. So the fact that you have no inflammation there, it so quickly that's really, really, really profound. So much healing has happened, and that just warms my heart. So thank you for sharing that. There, and also just to give hope to someone who might be listening, who whether they've been through a cancer treatment or some other sort of treatment, or just down a really long path that they feel like they can never come back from. It's possible. There's so much we can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so many different techniques that can work, and diet changes, and it doesn't have to come all at once. You gradually get there, just little bits at a time.
I think that would you say that now on the other side of this program, you have basically a whole new way of life?
I do. I really do.
Yeah, it's not like we patch you up and put you through like 10 days, eat this, and then you
Right.
fall back. We
Yes.
really are setting you up with new habits and a new way of life so that this shift into a healthier living is yours to keep.
Yes. My
Mhm.
daily life has changed.
Yes, yes, exactly. And then you share that with your family and your loved ones, and everyone's impacted, which I just love. Yeah, Bridget, it takes a lot of courage to commit to changing your health and pursuing functional medicine. So, what would you say to a listener who maybe hears a little bit of themselves in your story, but is hesitant, scared, and nervous to get started?
Just move forward. The sooner you move forward,
Mm,
the better off you'll be.
I love
And
that. Yeah, it's actually think that the decision to start is probably the
yes,
hardest part. Would
it
you
is.
say?
Yes, it is. It's making that phone call.
Yeah.
You can just make the phone call and get an interview. Then
Yeah.
from there, it's easy.
Excellent. Well, there might be some things that are hard, but I would hope that the goal of the program and my practice in general is to just be a beautiful, supportive, healing home, right? So that if you're scared, we've got you. We understand, right? And the coaches we
Right.
have been through their own medical concerns, so we get it, and we're just here to support. So yeah, I love that. So you would say just get started, just
Just
that
get
one.
started, right, and just move forward. And like you said,
Excellent.
I mean, that's the hardest part, is
That's
just
great.
moving
That's
forward with
excellent.
it.
And so is there anything else you want to say last? I think we can wrap up. This has been a lovely conversation, but I didn't want to leave anything if you had thoughts or anything else you wanted to share, or I'm happy to go ahead and wrap up.
No, I think you've covered it. But
Excellent.
I do want to say thank you for everything you have done. I felt very taken care of.
Mm.
I felt like I was even babied. So,
Well, you're welcome. And that warms my heart because that is literally what my team and I are here to do. We each and every one of us on the team is here for a reason. We've been had our own healing journey, and now we are really on a mission to help heal others too, and actually help show others how their bodies can heal that for themselves as well too. So thank you. So I think actually my last thought here is, because this is the Push Pause to Heal podcast, and I am on a mission to help normalize rest for women. Is there anything you want to share about how you would suggest others push pause, or even allow themselves to have permission to pause? Anything around that?
I think the easiest thing for me to do is when I was anxious, just to say stop, pause, and then do the deep breathing.
Okay.
It does, it reset everything for me.
Wow.
And then if that doesn't work, there's other, what's the word I'm looking for?
Other tools or
Other
other.
tools,
Yeah, yeah.
to use. And
Excellent,
it's just
excellent.
finding the tool that works best for you, which a health coach can help you figure that out.
Excellent. And being okay to take that pause
Right,
is yeah. So it's allowed Bridget to have a whole new way of being in her body to be able to do that. So I
right.
hope that's some inspiration for others.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Bridget. I'm so honored that you've been here with us
Welcome.
today, sharing so bravely. And today's podcast resonated with you. If you can relate to Bridget's story or know someone who could find inspiration in what she's been bravely sharing with us today, please share this episode. Send it to a friend or a loved one, and let the healing spread and spread. And just thank you. Thank you so much, Bridget. And thanks to everyone for listening. And we'll see you next time.